We appreciate you rocking with us. Ready to get into some hoops talk. Definitely want to talk about your season so far. But first, I have a very important question for you. As I was doing some prep for the pod, I was checking out some of your prior interviews. You did one with Jordan Liggins for Buckets. And during the rapid fire segment that y'all did together, she asked you if you would rather select bonnets or do-rags. And so you chose do-rags. And then you went on to talk about your extensive collection of do-rags. And then you let it slip that the Sparks told you that you couldn't wear your do-rags at practice. So I just want to know, was this from the league? Was this from the organization? Was this from your head coach that may or may not have the facilities for a do-rag right now? Like, how did that decision get made?
No, I think it was just one of those things where it was just culture. Like it's nothing, and it wasn't in like a negative way. It was more of those things like, hey, look, we know you could do your work in a do-rag, but for culture purposes, we have new people on the team. We're trying to create this dynamic where, no nonsense, and that a part of that might bring that. So it's like, hey, get rid of the do-rag. I'm like, all right, I can't say nothing to that. They caught me right when I was going into the huddle too. Like Simone Augustus walked up to me and was like, hey, take that out. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, I guess there's no do-rags this year, but I got over it. I just had to make sure my hair was done.
Okay, I got you. I got you. You also chose TikTok as one of your answers. What type of TikToks do you watch?
I thought I picked Instagram.
Nah.
Ooh, called out.
No, I picked Instagram. And I said TikTok. I use TikTok to watch videos. But usage wise, I'm more Instagram than TikTok.
Okay,
But on
fair.
TikTok, yeah, but if I had to pick what I watch, I'd probably say I got like a couple like conspiracy theory things I'd be following up there. A lot of music, anything that involves music, obviously, I'm following it. I mean, funny TikToks, pranks, dancing TikToks, even though I don't have the knee capacity to do them, I enjoy watching them. So that's probably all I probably really watch.
Got you. Well, one, my bad on that for messing up your your answer on that front.
It's all good.
Two, you did mention music, and you also said during this interview that you played, I think, second trumpet at Carnegie Hall. Like, how did that happen?
Man, okay, so I was a freshman in high school, and I had picked up band because you had to take an extracurricular, and it was either choir, band, or I want to say, was it? Did they have? No, we had like computer. You could like learn like computer graphics, or you can learn like how to type of thing. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just go with. Oh, and we had art, and I heard the art teacher was really mean. So I really wasn't trying to get yelled at for learning how to draw. And then I really didn't want to sing. So I'm like, all right, I like instruments. I've been around them all my life. So why not just go to band? Pick the trumpet. And just one day my teacher came in. He's like, all right, well, I have a great opportunity where I'm going to start evaluating everybody. Like there's an opportunity to go to Carnegie Hall. I'm like, I didn't know what Carnegie Hall was. And then I hear it like in a Jay-Z and a Rick Ross song. I'm like, oh, this must be like a really big deal. You know what I mean? So I'm looking up Carnegie Hall, and then I'm like, okay, I really want to make it. So I just keep practicing my trumpet, and then he gave me second trumpet, and I was good with it. I was like, I wanted to be first, and I ended up being first by the end of my freshman year. So this is like mid-pack, and I'm just learning. Like this is my first year learning, so I end up being first by the end of my freshman year.
That is amazing. Do you still play in your spare time?
No, I've been trying to get a hold of a trumpet, but it's so hard with travel. I feel like once I'm, settled down and everything kind of starts to slow down on the back of my career, I feel like I'll be able to get all those things that I wanted to do now. I'm just too busy trying to build, so it's like I don't really have time to go do those things right now.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's get into some basketball talk. Then before we get into like the particulars of your season, just a general question that I've always wanted to ask players: when you're not when you're not in a game or when you're not practicing, how do you engage with basketball? Are you still just turning on League Pass and watching whatever, or are you the type to kind of decompress from everything when you're not in it?
I think I have a healthy balance. I think for me, I will very much prioritize my rest overall because I feel like if you lack rest, then everything else you're trying to do is it's gonna be, it's gonna lack somewhere else because you don't have that rest that you need. So I try to make sure I get a good amount of sleep. And there are some nights where I do lose sleep because I'm up watching film, I'm looking at stats, like I'm looking at games that are playing, on TV, both NBA and WNBA, just watching the game, really going back watching old games, or if I know that we're about to play, like we're about to play Vegas, so most likely I'm going to be watching that game about 2-3 times, and each time I'm watching it for something different. You know what I mean? So sometimes I can get a little crazy with it with how I watch stuff, but for the most part, I think I do a pretty good job of balancing getting my sleep and really, getting into the game off the court.
That was going to be my follow-up question. Did you have to develop that balance as
Yeah.
far as being in it? And because you can go left real quick.
Oh yeah, I don't went left a couple times. I don't went left a couple times in my career, and I think it's this how like growth is continuous. I feel like in a game, being a pro, there are those cycles that you have to go through to realize like, okay, I'm in this new cycle of my life. What I did in the last cycle might not work for where I'm at right now. So there was times where I would fight the change. And, I think probably this last transition in my career, going from like a fifth to sixth year, everybody makes jokes like, oh man, you did the quickest switch from a rookie to a vet. And they're like, man, you're an old head now. And I guess it's just my mannerisms and everything. But I realized that the things that I were doing my first 5 years, it's not going to work for the next 5. So I kind of have to build a new regimen, build a new way to being a pro in my 6th year and like onward.
Got you. Were there any veterans in your younger years that kind of took you on the wing, like, hey, if you're gonna watch film, watch it this way, or if you're gonna watch these kind of parts, or look for something like this, or did you have to kind of sort through that by yourself?
I think it was a mixture of both. And I wouldn't say it was just players. I think it was just people in my camp. I'm a real big believer of like you are who your camp is, So for me, my high school coach is in my camp, and she, talks to me about basketball. She talks to me about, things that revolve around basketball that have nothing to do with basketball. And so when I talk to her, we have those talks. And then on the outside, I want to say probably like my overseas coach that I just had. He is amazing, and I talk to him about basketball 24/7. So it's just one of those things where I just talk to the people around me, and it kind of helps me figure out how to go about those things and how to become a pro. And then yes, I meet my friends throughout the league who have been pros for years, and they talk to me and they show me the ways to how to, all right, come into practice early, make sure you do your bands. Because a lot of rookies make fun of the old heads for using the bands and warming up and doing all the hip exercises. But you don't realize it until you're in year 6 and you're like, man, I really need those bands. So I learned early. I picked up on it very early due to like past injuries in college. So it's like I was already up there on game, but it's amazing to see like kids now. They're like, what is that? I'm like, you have no idea.
Are you already starting to take some of the younger guards on the roster under your wing in that regard?
Oh yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's a new role for me to be looked at as, a vet in a sense. And I take that like as an honor because at one point I was them and I was looking at the older heads to guide me. So I take a lot of pride and responsibility in knowing that, younger ones are looking at me for guidance in the sense of how to be a pro. Because for me, honestly, I feel like my teaching would have to be like not pertaining to basketball. Like it's about the person. You know what I mean? Like you try to better yourself as a person. Being a pro will be easy because you already have like the characteristics and the mannerisms that you need to be a pro because you're already doing it as a person. So That's probably what I'd probably teach him, or I hope that that's what I'm teaching.
Got you. Steve, before I dig in, did you have anything?
Oh no, I'm flowing. She's dropping gems. I'm here. I was thinking about it. Like you speak about energy and leadership. Like that takes growth as a person to be able to lead others. And then as a pro, as you go from fifth to sixth, has there anything that you've done as far as even just watching the game where you notice I'm seeing this differently? Or I'm
Oh
viewing
yeah,
this differently, or this is something that maybe I wouldn't have noticed before, but now I know I need to lock in on this.
yeah. If I had to choose one thing, because it's plenty of things that like I've realized, that how I view the game has changed. For instance, when I said I watched the game at least like
Two or three
two to
times.
three times, and I'm for instance, if I watch a game back, I'm gonna the first time I watch it, I'm watching, okay, how was my defense? And then the second time I'm watching, how was my decision making? What did I miss on offense? What do I need to exploit more on offense? And then on the third one, I'm looking at energy and body. And it's not just me, it's like everybody, but I'm looking at energy and body on both ends, because it's like, who am I guarding? I need to look at their energy and body. When this happened, how does their body change? Okay, when this happened, how did my team respond? How did we, you know what I mean? I'm looking at all those things. So in them 3 times that I'm watching the game, and I might just skip through it because I done watched it twice. So it's like, I know what's coming. So it's like, all right, I don't need to see this part. Boom, I'm fast forwarding. So it's not like I'm sitting there for like 4 or 5 hours. I might sit there for like a solid 2 and just really just dissect each thing that I need to see. But yeah, um, it definitely came with a lot of growth and just patience to understanding like everything is a process. Like once I understood that everything was a process and like that was the part that you truly focus on, I was like, oh, all right, I got this. Like we might be doing something here.
Got you. Okay, the primary reason I wanted to have you on the podcast is because you are one of my favorite defenders to watch in the league. And I feel like you're a defender that anyone could appreciate. For the dunkers or some of the nerdier watchers, they'll appreciate how you blow up off ball actions. Flying across screens, staying attached, blowing up an offensive action. Now they're late in the clock, they can't do anything. But also you have the chase down blocks. That'll entice people. You will have the on ball steals. Like I was going through some of your film earlier. The way that you anticipate passes from the person that you're guarding is insane to me. And so for people who aren't super familiar with your game, like where does that defensive background come from? Is that an area of your game that's always been strong, or did you have to like shift roles to kind of develop into that type of player? Like where does that come from?
I think I think it's always been in me. I just don't think I ever truly tapped into it with as much intention as I have the past 2 years. I'll say that. So when I met, well, past 3 years, because I've been with the Sparks for 3 years now. I always say that I always give credit to our defensive coach, Coach T, LT, Latricia Trammell. When I say like her energy is so infectious, like it made me want to play D, because how can you not play defense for somebody who is so passionate? Like you almost look crazy not giving as much energy as she's giving you, because that's something that you'd want, that's something that you'd crave as a professional, to have somebody that's just as in it as you. And so with her being as infectious as she is with her energy, it just rubbed off on me. So my first year, we in the bubble, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is fun. Like this leads to offense. And to be honest, I'm on a new team. Like people don't really realize it's like I'm on a new team. I just spent my last 3 years in Atlanta. Now I'm in LA. I'm with Candace Parker, Chelsea Gray, or Quanah Williams. Like I'm with some heavy hitters, Nekias Duncan. Like you know what I mean? Like there are no slouches on this team. And yeah, I'm me, but I'm trying to find my foot in all of this greatness that's going on. So I'm like, okay, let me see what the team needs. I'm like, oh, okay, defense, like we have defense, but maybe I could, fit my foot in here real quick. Like I know offense will come, I know I have offense, but it's like, how can I stay on the floor? How can I stay relevant? You know, just if we being real, because it's like whether you did or not, is you got to figure out how to make sure that the coach does not take you off the floor. So that was kind of my thought process. Like, okay, let me see what I could do on this defensive end. And then I realized, like, oh shit, you're kind of good at it. Like, all right, you know, it's like, okay, you having fun with it.
Mhm.
So now I'm starting to steal the ball. And if you go back and look at the 2020 tapes, I'm still in passes and stuff. And I run past the bench and I look at LT and I'll be like, that's one steal. That's two steals. Like we was talking trash about it. So you know, so it was one of those things where it started to like entice me to want to like be great at it. So I'm like, all right, I can actually do this. And then now we get to runner up depoy and you know what I mean? And then I go overseas and I get depoy in Australia. But it's all been a process. Like that's why it's like this has been fun because it's literally been a process from the first year I've been here to now, you know, in this third year with them. And every year has gotten better. And it's like I can only keep getting better because there's so much that I can learn through defense.
On that note, can you pinpoint like a game or maybe there was a possession or a specific matchup to where you had that light bulb moment, like, oh wow, I can really do this and do this at a high level?
Like any game?
Yeah, or just like the first memorable one where you're just like,
First memorable one? I'll say I'll never forget the last season we were playing New York at the convention center and I had 7 steals. That game, literally, I don't know what I had before the game or what energy drink I had. I just know my hands were everywhere. So, and it was this one possession, and I think it was before halftime. Benaja Laney was coming down like full head of steam. And I'm like backing up. I feel like I'm playing like wide receiver at this point, or like corner, right? That's the position. So like I feel like I'm playing corner and I'm like backing up. And she goes to go like right to left. And I just like bear grab it and take it out of her hand. And I like look at her, I'm like, oh. And my team on the bench is yelling. They're like, man, throw the ball. And I'm like, nah, dog. let's just realize what just happened here. Like I just stripped somebody. That was like my first official like strip, like where it was like, give me that. I was like, okay, we have to hold on to this right now. Like forget the shot. We're going into the half. Like this is a moment.
You got to take the ball with you.
Almost did.
I feel that. Just on the defensive side, because you are, again, just watching you over the last couple of years and specifically this year, you can do it all. Like you can work as an off-ball chaser, you can be a weak side rotator and just disrupt things at the rim. You can defend pick and rolls on the ball. Like, is there a preferred, like, if you can get into it, is there a preferred role that you like on defense?
Man, it depends on the matchup, right? It depends on the matchup. And I can't get too specific because then I'd give away my secrets.
No. You know what I mean? Just big picture.
you know, big picture.
Right.
It's about the matchup because okay, so I can say like without name, say you have a scoring guard, right? But then you have a point guard who the only way that this scoring guard can truly get off is if this point guard is getting her the ball. I'm gonna want the point guard. Like I'm gonna want the scorer, but I'm gonna want the point guard because it's like now I'm getting a 2-for-1 special. I'm making it hard for your scorer to get the ball, and then I'm on the point guard, which allows me once that ball is out her hands, I can go help.
Mm-hmm.
I can go help on the score, which puts the ball back in the point guard. But I already got the point guard. That's the whole reason why I got her. It's like I want to be able to help if there's need for it. You know, so like that's one of my processes. But honestly, I'd say the most fun position in defense is probably help side. And we all know why, because of the blocks, but help side is probably because it's a bait game with me. Like I like to bait people like, oh my gosh, it looks like the Red Sea. And then next thing you know it, it's like, boom, your shot is at half court. So, you know, I like help side rotation because it's like so much you could do once you take them 2 steps. It's like you're vulnerable. It's out of there.
Got you. Just as a general defense question, because the adage that I hear all the time is that defense is just about effort and stuff. And like it is true that you have to have a high energy level. But like how much of it for you is just energy and effort and how much of it is technique, film work, etc.?
Well, I say energy and effort is like 100%. Like ain't no drop off of that. It's either you want to play defense or you don't. Because at the end of the day, it's either you going like I just don't understand how it's like it just I don't know, it grinds my gears because like how are you in front of somebody with the ball and it's like you're okay with them trying to bust your ass? Like I don't I don't understand that. You know what I mean? Like somebody is literally trying to embarrass you and compete against. Now it's competing. They might not be doing it on purpose, but it's like as a competitor, how is it that I'm okay with you like trying to get an easy bucket on me? Because I've been scored on before. Like there have been some hard buckets that I've had to like take on the chin.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I did my
key word you said right there. It's a hard bucket.
it's a hard bucket.
You're gonna have
like,
to earn it.
you have to earn that bucket. Like you have, and if you do, hey, you do. So it's like I'm okay with that. But at the same time, it's like how? Like how do you do it? Like I just don't understand that. I just don't.
I got you. What would you say is an underrated aspect of being a good defender?
The IQ. I think people look at the athleticism and people look at, the stats, but people don't realize majority of what really good defenders do not show up on the stat sheet. Like being in help position all the time. If your teammate's getting beat, you gave your teammate that split second to recover because you were already in the spot, or you're in the help position and there they're going to want to pass it to the corner because you're already helping off strong side and you jump back out. Now it's out of bounds. It's our ball again. You know what I mean? Like the stat sheet doesn't show how we create turnovers or travels or make the defense think or disrupt the timing of the defense. Like all that stuff doesn't show up. So I'd say, and that has stuff to do with IQ. If you're looking at film and you know that, okay, a specific play has to go through the 4-player. If I'm that defensive juggernaut, I'm telling my 4-player, choke that middle. This pass cannot go through there because if it do, then it gets here. X, Y, Z. So it's like the IQ part. I don't think people talk about defenders having like a really good IQ of the game because you really have to understand and know where the ball is going or where they want the ball to go. Once you learn that, that's cheat code.
Mm. This is the stuff I wanted to dig into.
No, it's gems, man. Defense is a mindset. And once you know, hey, I know when she's coming down the right side, I know what play is coming, you've hit a different level.
Yeah. it's like you start to look like pieces, you just looking. It's like you're looking at alignments, and even when you're watching the game, you start to like literally call out what's about to happen. So I'm like, oh man, oh yeah, that's going over there. Oh, you start to see her move a little bit in the back. I'm like, oh yeah, she done fell asleep. So it's like you start to see all these things. I'm like, man, I'm ready to play. Like I know exactly where I'm going to hit. So defense. It's a mental mind. It's a chess game. It is literally a chess game. It's pieces.
Got you. Who are some of your toughest matchups, and who are some of your favorite players to guard?
Toughest matchups, favorite players to guard. Well, I like to guard anybody that want to compete. Let's just start there. Like I like to guard anybody that like to compete. I'd say my matchups where like it's fun. I always say playing against Court is hilarious because you wouldn't think that we were as cool as we look on the court because of how we go at it. But I enjoy her competitiveness. Like that wakes me up. Like that keeps me alive when I'm playing in the game. When somebody is just as competitive and wants to win just as bad as you do, but they're on the opposite team. It's like, all right, let's see who come out with this one.
Right.
And then when the buzzer rang, I'm dapping you up like nothing never happened because like that's just what we do. That's not who we are. That's not our relationship. You know what I mean? Obviously, playing against Enrique is always fun. And I'll even throw Marina in there because that's a combo that honestly is like, all right, which one am I guarding today? You know, it's kind of a switch off. And throughout the game, I'm guarding both of them. Man, Kelsey Mitchell, that is like an energy bunny does not, she does not stop moving. Like it is ridiculous. She's just a motor.
They run her off so many screens.
So many. Oh, I know. And you know, and she's a really great player. You know, you can be as quick as you are, but her skill set allows her to move so freely and have teams on their heels. So it's like, God dang it, Kelsey, just stop moving. Like, that's one of them players where it's like, I need to get you in foul trouble immediately, so you could just slow down. Like I need to slow you down, make you think a little bit. But if on top of my head, those three for sure are probably like my favorite top three.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
On the defensive end, who are some of the players that took you under their wing, or who are some players that you watch? Like, okay, I can take this angle of her game or his game, or whoever you watch. Like, who are you drawing from defensively?
Well, my rookie year, I'd say we had Sancho Little, and I don't think yeah, exactly right. You know who Sancho Little is.
Yeah.
I've never seen a 4 player so smart. Like her defensive IQ literally had my mouth on the floor. Like I sat with her one time, and Sancho was one of them vets that you don't really talk to. She don't really got enough, like a lot of words for you. So one day she was riding a bike and she had like stole a pass in the game one time. I'm like, how did she like, like I was just like, how did you do that? And so I asked her and she's like, and she has an accent. So like she's talking to me and she was like, go on now, leave me alone. And I'm like, nah, Sancho, like I really want to know, like please, like help me. So once she realized that I was being serious, she was like, okay. And then she ended up telling me that defense with steals, she was like, you want to bait them into thinking that something's open. Knowing that once the ball is in the air, that's when you make your move and you do your work early. So that's kind of a reason why I kind of bait. Other than the fact that it's like I like playing that game with people. I remember her vividly telling me that it was a bait game. That you want to make them think that something's open or something's there, and then that's when you kind of strike and make your move. So Sancho Little for sure helped me out. And then, I mean, obviously, I watched the likes of Marcus Smart, even Murray on the Spurs, Peyton on the Warriors. I'm a huge fan of him. Like his defense is ridiculous. But also, oh my gosh, why do I see his face and I can't think of his name? He's on the Bulls. I love his defense.
It's a lot. Alex Caruso. Lonzo.
Yes, Caruso. There we go. Caruso. I love Caruso's defense. I don't know why people don't talk about it the way they should, but that man's defense is ridiculous, especially his help side blocks. He just comes out of nowhere. He's blocking shots. He's deflecting the ball on dribbles. Like those are the things that again, does not show up on the stat sheet because you might not get the steal, but you created the havoc that created that opportunity for them to go down and get a score. So big fan of his. I like watching certain players and how they play defense.
That made me think of a quick question. My mind was going, your defensive evolution, your mindset, has that helped you offensively as far as the evolution with the playmaking goes?
Yeah, I think it allows me to get into an offensive flow early. Whereas some players who are like offensively dominant, that might dictate how their game goes. Whereas my offensive game might be off. I might not make a shot, but I know that at the end of the night, whoever I'm guarding, they might not make a shot either because I'm guarding. So, it's one of those things where I've realized that defense is always going to be there every night. Offense, it could come, it could go, at any moment. But like defense is there every night. So I try to make defense my staple. That way, when offense does come, it's like the defense kind of like sparks the offense. And then now the offense starts flowing. So then it's like, okay, even if the offense kind of chills off, you still got that defensive tenacity which kind of leads into creating for others. So, it's one of those things where it's like defense is going to give me either or. It's either a night where I'm doing offense or it's a night where I'm really, really creating, and then there's a wonderful night where I do both. So, but it all stems from defense and the energy that defense creates that allows like our team to get out and just go and run.
All right. I only have a couple more for you. We get you out of here. What are practices like with that guard room in LA? It seems like a lot of different styles.
Man. Oh man, for sure. It's obviously you could just pick your poison with whoever you have, as a guard. You got shooting in Lexi and Katie Lou. You got athleticism, mid-range, crazy game with me. You have the speed of Kennedy and Jordan, with the playmaking abilities of everybody who touches the ball, across the board. So when we're in practice, when we do get to go against each other, the different combos, it's like, God, dang it. Like, what can you do? What can you do? You just have to honestly just grit, bear it, and just play some defense, because at the end of the day, they're on our team. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have to prepare for them. They got to prepare for us. So we just make each other better in that sense.
Got you. And my last one, you made an all defensive team in 2020, made all defense first team last year. The defensive player of the year case has, the campaign has started for you. There was a campaign last year as well. Why are you the defensive player of the year right now?
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even think I've really truly tapped into what it is to like what I want Depoy to be. Like, I don't think I've truly. It's been maybe 12 games so far. It's been a hell of a May, and for what it was, we did what we had to do, and we came out with how we came out, right? So I think that within this month, obviously the rest of the season, but for sure this month, we get like 2 weeks of a break without having crazy games. I think we got like 3 games in like 2 weeks or something like that. So I'll have time to sit with my coaches, watch them, do all these things, because I'm really, really, I've said it last year, I think, or the year before, where I really want people to understand what it is to be a defensive player of the year. Because it's not just blocks, it's not just steals, it's not just rebounds. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a guard. Not to say that I can't rebound as a guard, but what I'm doing on the perimeter, I got 6'9" and 6'3" and 6'4" down there. I'm probably not gonna get 7 rebounds, as easy as the 3 or 4, 6'2" and above would, you know what I mean? Or they're down there in the paint because I'm sitting up here guarding the point guard. I'm probably not going to be in there like that. So, it's like, but how does that take away from my defensive capability because I'm not grabbing defensive rebounds? Like, the math not mathing with that one.
Right.
So, it's just, I want to be able to like set the standard, set a bar, or create a new standard to what it is. Like, I want people to look at advanced stats where it's like, when this person's on the floor, this team has this much of a chance to win. Whereas when they're not on the floor, when they're guarding the player, their statistics are below average, as when, you know what I mean? Like, I want people to look at those, because that's what matters. That's what matters. And obviously, like, winning and losing matters, but don't get me started on that, because it's like, I don't understand how that takes away from somebody's individual capability. But at the same time, I do agree that, hey, if you are that person, why is your team losing? So it's like, it goes both ways. So it's one of those things where that's why I'm trying to create that standard of like, all right, they see Depoy and they see me like.
I got you. And like I said at the top, like, I think that's what makes you a special defender and someone easy to see, because you pop on the screen. Like, you do all the things that don't show up on the stat sheet. But also, you're second in the league in steals right now. You're first in total steals. Like, you're leading guards and blocks right now. So, like, you have the mix of everything right now. And if you're about to get this break and watch more film, I ain't no telling what you're about to do on the defensive end at this point. It's been a
Yeah.
wildly impressive season so far. So thank you for hopping on with us. Is there anything you want to plug? Where can the people find you? What are you getting into off the court? If you can share.
Oh man, I mean, it's plenty. I mean, if we have a chance to run it back and do another interview somewhere, down the line in the season, for sure. Probably be looking for a website. Most likely, all my socials are the same. Brit Bundles with the Z at the end. Um, and yeah, I mean, just look out for me on the game. Vote for me for All Star. Obviously, All Star is coming up, so you
There
guys
we go.
push me for
There we
sure.
go.
Push me for All Star. That'd be the dopest. Because that's definitely a goal this year. I'm trying to get out there. It's about that time. Time is a ticking.
There we go. Oh, one quick thing. You're doing some work for Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Can you shed some insight into what that is?
Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna be on ABC, and I'm gonna be talking about Game 3. I believe I'm not sure. I forgot who my co-host is. Lord, I hope I don't get in trouble. But I think I'm with Norm. But and I did it with him last year around this time for finals when it was Bucks and Phoenix. So it'll be pretty cool to come around because he's a Laker and I'm a Celtics fan. So that should be a pretty cool dynamic on camera. But I'm looking forward to it. But I just go up there. We talk about the finals. We talk about things that have been happening in the sports world, and it's just a good little laugh. They're probably gonna ask me questions about the season, check in with the Sparks, and obviously I'm gonna tell people, like I'm telling you guys, make sure you tell them tune in to the WNBA because that
Yes.
is amazing basketball, and this season is crazy. And we have a home game this week against Vegas at the crypto arena. So make sure you tell people come out support, come see your fans in Vegas. I mean, they're a great team, so it's going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to it.
That it is. That it is. Thank you again for coming on. We really appreciate it. Best of luck to you for the rest of the season. And if there's an interview opportunity, I'm absolutely going to take you up on that. So don't get
Man,
timing,
bro.
especially if you
No,
make the
no.
All-Star team. So
No, hey, look, we definitely will run this back. And we make All Star. We're not saying if I don't. Like that's the goal. So we make All Star. We run this back, and we gonna talk about whatever we done did these last 2 months. We ain't speak. How about that?
all right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.